What's up everybody? Welcome to Yellow Auto Sports channel. In today's video, I'm just gonna do a quick wash and protect with sealant. So it's gonna be quick, down and dirty. So follow me along as we go through all the steps and let's get this car washed. Alright, so the first step is to rinse the vehicle down, always working from the top down. Remember, shit rolls down the hill, so you gotta knock things down from the top down, and that's the same concept. We're gonna use gravity to our advantage. What I'm using today is I'm using the MTM Hydro gun. We're using a 40-degree nozzle, and we're using the AR630 power washer. Now that is a little bit more of a pro-end unit, but you can definitely get some smaller end units and still do the same thing. So let's get right to it. Now that we've rinsed the whole vehicle, the next thing we want to do is we want to foam. Now I'm using, in this case, G-Wash from G-Technique. It's a really good pH neutral soap. We're going to foam this whole car. What this is going to do is it's going to give a very nice blanket on the whole car. That foam is actually going to lift some of that dirt off the surface as well. And so when we go to wipe it with our mitts, we're essentially not scrubbing, we're just wiping off. So we're gonna put a grid guard down in our bucket. This is just so that all the dirt falls down and falls below the grid guard. It gives a chance so that the contaminants don't come back up and get into our mitts. So we're gonna throw that into the bucket. And then I always like to use 2 mitts. So we're always gonna use a blue one, for me at least. Just make sure you get a color code that's easy for you to remember. But for me, I always use one. This is everything from the top down to the very middle. When we go from the middle down to the bottom, we're actually gonna use our red mitts here. Now these ones I don't use for wheels at all. This is for paint only. Same thing when we're gonna go to wipe the car. I'm using very little pressure, so I'm actually not putting a lot of pressure and I'm not scrubbing with these. Now, if the car is really, really dirty, you want to knock most of it off with the power washer or use a different chemical. But in the rinsing process for a quick wash, it's no pressure. I'm just using the mitt and the power of the soap together just to wipe off. The goal is not to add more scratches, it's just to lift everything off and off the paint. Okay, so now that we've done all that, now we're going to rinse in the car. Now, same concept applies. I'm gonna use the power washer arm length away, and I'm starting from the top down too. Why? Because we're always gonna use gravity in our favor. It's just gonna make the washing process a little easier. I like to start from one side and kind of just walk it down and then just do the same thing all the way around. So now that we've rinsed all the soap off the paint, what I like to do now is I like to protect the paint. Now in this case, I'm gonna be using a sealant. I have a few options in my hand. I have Beadmaker from PNS, C2B3 from G-Technique, which is this one. I love G-Technique C2B3. Today though, I'm gonna use a silica sealant, and this is one that actually I carry in my shop for clients. Now, these can be used, you can dry the car and then apply it, mist it on, and kind of level it off. But the way that I like to use them, which is a faster way, is you can also spray this while the car is still wet. And then it's used actually as a drying agent and as a lubricant so that when you go to wipe off, the product is still getting put on the vehicle and you're actually doing 2 things at once. So that's the way we're gonna do it today, so let's go through that. Okay, so when we get to drying this paint, I like to use these big old towels. This is, I believe, called the Dreadnought XL, but you only need about 2 or 3 of these, so that's really nice. When we go to wipe, what I like to do is I'm actually going to use almost very little pressure as well. It's the same concept as when I'm actually cleaning the car with the soap that we did earlier. In this case, we're drying, but no pressure. My goal is not to, I'm not cleaning anymore. All I'm doing is picking up, and this towel is actually going to do most of that. Like I said, 2 2 of these gets you through most sedans. So no pressure, just, I like to make a nice rectangle like this and kind of wipe, and then I usually will use the other side because that's a little bit more dry, and I'll fold it to the other side, and you always kind of got a dry side, and these things soak up so much water, you're actually going to get through the car very quickly. So if you don't have one of these, I definitely recommend getting one of these big towels. They're going to make your job a lot easier, and I'm telling you that because I've tried many kinds before, and ultimately this is what I decided to stick with. Okay, so that was the whole process of washing, protecting. It's really down and dirty. This is meant to be done whenever the car is just a little bit dusty, even a little bit dirty. I usually like to do it on my own cars. On the NSX, I do it probably once every 2-3 weeks because it doesn't get too many miles. A car that gets daily driven, and you probably even want to do it every weekend if you get the time. But as you can see, it's actually pretty quick, down and dirty. But in the process, I just want to show you all the steps and the reasons why I do things the way that I do. Every step does have a reason behind it. Okay, it's not so simple as just washing a car. A lot of people would just think of it like that, but in the eye of a detailer, we're always thinking about what each process means and why the process is done in that way. That's why we spend hours and hours just studying. Even me, I'm always watching videos of other people do it. I'm always trying to learn how they can do it better, whether it be faster, more efficient, if there's tools out there that can make your job a lot easier, if there are products out there that can make your job easier. All those things, it's an ever-evolving process. So this is just the way that I do it. If you got any questions about my process, make sure you leave them in the comments below. If you got any suggestions or tips too as to how to do it better, faster, I'm always open to all that. So make sure you leave all those comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something out of it. Until the next one.